Mhm.
And we are going to start this show, start webinar. Hey, everybody who's watching the replay.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in. Say hi. Hey, Taylor and Susie and Jan. Yay, type in where you are. We have a lot of good things to talk about today.
Yeah, we're just making a list. I think we're going to cover quite a range of things. I'm excited.
Quite a range. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, it feels like Friday. You know why? I'm going away tomorrow.
And because the weather's really nice today.
That's true. Feels like a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello from
Oh,
Germany, Susie. Where are you? Type in where you are. Hi, Eileen. So we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. I'm going to announce my next European trip. Yay! We're going to talk about traditional versus digital media, large ticket jobs versus small ticket, like big money ones versus small money ones. And then when to have a baby if you have a career, because I'm asking for a friend.
yeah. So thinking ahead, how does that work? Baby and career, balancing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
For
we'll chat
sure.
about that.
Yes. So my what I well uh what I want to tell you is my next European retreat, which is the people say it was like one of the greatest things they've ever done, or greatest thing of the year. It's really wonderful. This one is going to be in Italy, September 2026. And I'm putting it on I'm announcing it in my newsletter. So make sure you're at lillarogers.com. Go to my newsletter, and then you will get the announcement, and it will definitely fill, because this time I'm giving more time.
And it's in Italy, so everyone's going to want to go.
And it's in Italy, and we're going to a full day antiques fair, and it's not during an election and all that.
Yeah, hopefully a little more positive energy going around everywhere.
Totally. So that's that. Okay, down to business. And feel free to put any questions in the chat or Q&A. So imposter syndrome, I don't feel like I've fully answered it properly. Like I usually say, that's a construct that women feel because of feeling less than, whereas when I've asked men about it, the men I asked don't feel imposter syndrome. So I think there is a sort of a bias that way. And that's important. And yeah.
I was just going to say, yeah, I've heard that too. Even in my group of friends, we ask these questions sometimes. That's usually like things that women experience in the workplace. And then you ask if men have ever experienced it, and they're like, no,
Right.
never.
Exactly. So, I mean, just like when it's dark and you're about to get in your car, you look around and you look in the back seat. Do men do that? Ask them. No. So, of course, we feel less than in so many ways. That's what I try to combat in my work. So, you do feel imposter syndrome for me, whenever I've done a new thing in the beginning, was who the hell do I think I am?
Mm.
That's what it was. Like, who made, who do you think you are? Right. And so the answer is, you think you have something to offer. You have something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, you've put in hours, you've put in experience, and, we know that many men get to the highest position in the land without expertise and talent and ability. So you certainly try not go there.
I think we can go wherever we want.
You know it. So what do you think
Um,
about
well,
imposter?
I was, I don't know, something about how you paused with saying that. I was like, is that an imposter syndrome in and of itself? Where you're like, oh, like, should I not say this? I'm not sure. But
Oh,
anyways, I feel
no,
like,
just I don't want to be a bummer.
mm,
I feel like I can say anything, but I don't want to go down bummer road.
right. Yeah, we're going down empowerment lane instead.
Yeah, we're going 90 miles an hour. We might get a
Yeah,
speeding ticket.
worth it.
Worth it. Worth it. Oh, I love young people. So, so that's that. And knowing that it's a thing maybe will make it easier for you.
Mm,
And I want you, just think of me and just think like that I'm giving you permission and I'm telling you to just do it. You can, you should do it. Get your work out there and think of the excitement and fun. Think how fun it will be to get those gigs and to get that feedback and to get that, you know, like I'm posting my own work for the first time ever because when I first started out, it was only Kate. Oh, hey, Kate, you're here. Kate, you're so sweet. Thank you. You're so sweet. Um, the first, what was I saying?
You're posting your work for the first
Oh yeah,
time.
because when the internet started, I was an agent, and so I've been posting, and my team has posted my artist work, and Matt's posts too. So I'm now starting to post, and I'm like, do I just freaking put it on?
Mm-hmm.
Do I just, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know enough to know you just put it on. It doesn't have to be perfect or right, or that doesn't have to be anything. The other thing is, I want you to know that as an agent, if I saw work that was intriguing but not quite ready to be repped, I would be like, ooh, I'm keeping my eye on that person
Mm,
and hoping that they would keep doing art and evolve. And art directors and art and agents don't look for what's uh we only notice work that we really love. So it just goes under our radar if you're not there yet. So don't feel like, oh, they're going to remember this really bad piece I did a year ago. No, we don't. So
mm. That
what's
is
your,
interesting to keep in mind.
yeah,
Um,
what do you think about it?
with imposter syndrome and putting
Mm-hmm.
work out there, I think it's just important to start and to
Mm-hmm.
just do a little bit every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, you're going to be further ahead than where you are today. And you're going to look back and realize how much you've grown. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be really encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I've been doing art for a few years now, but I also just started a new Instagram account for wedding stationery, custom wedding stationery. And so now I'm like in this weird spot where I'm back at the beginning
Yeah.
and there's like 100 followers and I post something and it gets like two
Two like
likes and like one is my mom, and it's like
and
so
Adam is the
and
other.
yeah, Adam Ming is the other one. Adam, you're the best. But it is really interesting to now have this perspective of I know what can happen if you just keep practicing and you just keep going because I've had success with the kid book illustration and surface patterns, but now I'm starting a new venture and it's almost more intimidating in a way because I know all the work that's ahead, you know,
Wow.
but I
Wow.
also know how to tackle it.
But I love what you said. And once you have one success, my mother would say success builds on success.
Hmm.
Once you have success, you get it. Oh, that's how you do it. You just figure it out, you stick to it, and so on. As we were talking earlier about, my parents were both entrepreneurs. So I grew up, by the time I graduated high school, I felt like I had an MBA because I understood the entrepreneur mentality, which is you don't, as we were saying, we don't say, oh, there's so much art out there, or you don't make a living, or art is this, and all that negative stuff. My parents wouldn't talk like that. They might deal with a problem or an issue, and there were plenty, but they're problem solvers. They would figure it out. So
Yeah.
that's what you're saying.
Exactly. Because you
You,
see so many other people doing it.
mm-hmm,
And sometimes you can question, well, what makes my work different?
mm-hmm.
But then answer the question, like, what makes your work different? And then
Oh,
lean into that. I feel like,
okay. Well,
and that makes you stand out. Your style is your style.
that's right.
And you were also saying before we came on live that you became so well known for your style
Hmm.
that then you also just got to create work that you love all the time.
Yeah, for clients, right? They would
Mm-hmm.
call me just for the Lila Bish. And so I could do that. And that's what I want for all of you to, and that's why I'm always saying, just keep tuning in. Does this feel good to make this art? Does it feel good in my body and mind? Do
Mm.
I like, I just love a really thoughtful line, like a line, like I'm just like that. You know what I mean? And that's what I love. And I love color blobs and I love lettering. And, I don't like drawing anything that's too complex or rendered. Don't like to, not realistic-y. Just not that I have anything against looking at it. It's just, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's so important to know what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were also telling me about with the wedding stationery, something about doing portraits of people, whether it
Yeah.
was something I would do or maybe it's another artist I collaborate with.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately I was like, no way am I doing portraits of people.
Right.
Like I just know that that's not something that brings me joy.
That's great.
So I can, move right past that idea and then
Mm-hmm.
just think about maybe collaborating with somebody else, which is
Exactly.
also super fun because when
Yeah.
artists work together, you both move forward together.
Oh, it's so great. So I was saying, can I tell the people about the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I said to Katie was you can get somebody who does portraits, get somebody who does classical calligraphy, and have them on her team to call, like, not pay, not full-time staff, but freelancers. So she can say to the client, would you like this done in calligraphy in addition to my decorative patterns? And then, so she's in a sense agenting that, or um, just has that, and she can pay the calligrapher to do that, and then she marks it up, which she's totally. And listen, again, we wouldn't question this if other, if guys are doing this. She gets to mark it up because she's doing the website, she's doing the marketing, she's doing the branding, she's doing the finance, all the billing, everything. So of course, she's giving opportunities to other people who maybe don't want to do that. Or maybe a calligrapher works with a number of wedding people and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they say this is how much I charge, and it's pretty high end, but that's great. And then you get a bigger percentage. So those are ways for all of you. Think of how you can leverage. That's called leveraging.
Mm. And pricing and imposter syndrome, I feel like go hand in hand
Mm,
too. It's
tells me.
it's so hard, but
Right. Hate
uh,
when I see women do that.
mm,
I mean, you don't want to overprice and not get any work, but you don't want to underprice because it's also bad for the whole community and
mhm.
perpetuates the stereotype that women artists, don't need to charge or shouldn't charge or whatever.
Yeah. So think about your worth, charge your worth.
Okay. So that's imposter syndrome.
You want to talk a little bit about traditional versus digital and some
Yeah.
of the art that you've
Yeah.
been creating?
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with Procreate on my iPad because I can sit there curled up. I know you all type in, do you use traditional, digital, or both? And when and why? And also, do you use Procreate or something else? I also use Inkset for this painterly mush. It looks just literally like paint.
It does. It looks so good. You're the first person I've heard of using it, but I'm really interested to try it.
Yeah. Um, Patricia uses both Procreate for digital, traditional. Liana is traditional to draw and paint, Procreate to add text. You want to
Hmm.
read some of these?
Yeah, sure. Um, So we have Stacy uses Procreate on the sofa, traditional media at the desk.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
similar, which usually
Totally.
means like traditional
PJs.
during the day. Yeah, and
Right.
at night when you're on the couch. All right, we have so many here. Some people use traditional, both Procreate. Procreate's really popular. Someone says traditional feels like digital art isn't real art. Need to hear the argument. Let's chat about that because I think that is something
Why
that
isn't it
I've
real?
heard that before. Um, so should we pause there? Should we talk about
Yeah,
it?
let's talk about it.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. Um, okay. So, as somebody who just came into the art world in probably when I first took a math class back in 2021,
Amazing.
so I may have thought the same thing about digital art, that it was just easier or something. And
Easy,
that,
good.
like, yeah, right? But I think thinking first about the perspective of somebody who has like never made digital art, you might think, oh, you just like draw a circle and it goes right into the circle shape and you fill it with a paint bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, that was so easy. That's not real art. I can just get clip art or something like that. But there's so much more to an art
If it
piece,
were only that easy.
right? If you list all of the things you need to do in order to make a work of art. So first you have to think about composition.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about color.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about what else do you have to think about?
Subject matter.
Subject matter.
What the heck you're drawing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to think about sketching it. You have to do all of this. And the only moment that is really different between digital and traditional is how you color it, I think.
And line
Because,
quality.
yeah, well, how you're drawing it, I
Okay. Oh, how
guess.
you're,
So you can
okay.
draw, let's say you draw something on paper or you
Mm-hmm.
draw it on the iPad. You still have to use the same skills either way to draw. You have to think about how to lay everything out on the page.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about what colors you're going to use later. You can use yellow that's digital or yellow paint from a tube,
Guess what?
right?
You remember in the old days, remember compasses that made a
Mm.
circle? Was that cheating? You know?
Yeah, they're just different tools. They're different methods.
Is using a ruler cheating? You get a straight line.
Hmm.
You know? Do you know what compasses are? Do
Yeah.
people know?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We had to buy like an expensive one when I was in art school the first time. Oh no, second time. So everyone has access to Procreate, but still some work stands out. And for my students at MATS, that's Make Art That Sells, for those that don't know, we call it MATS. I don't care how it was made. I care what it looks like. Same as when I was an agent. I care what it looks like. And the point isn't like to fake it or pull the wool over somebody's eyes. I don't care. There's only one kind of brush that I don't like in Procreate and or in digital, and that's this sort of, it's trying to look like watercolor pastel, but it's kind of
Mm.
pixely,
Mm.
something like that. That's very minor, but the same holds true in there are things in traditional media that bug me. Not really, but you know what? I don't want to go down this road because there's really not much, to be honest.
I think
The
they're both great and people can do whatever they want, right? At the end of the day,
Thank
like you
you.
said, it's what the art looks like, not
Yeah.
how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Doesn't really matter. And it's about point of view, the point of view, and is your personality coming
mm,
through?
hmm.
So, okay, let's go.
And I went on a journey of traditional to digital to traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like people are always changing
That's right.
how they work. And you know, if you can work in both, I mean, that doubles your skill set.
It
So
does.
that's great.
Scan in. So way back once when Photoshop first started, did I ever tell you that I was asked, they flew me and like 25 other designers and illustrators from New York to the
That's so
Kodak
cool.
Center. Did I tell you this?
I don't know if you've told me on
On
camera, but we
air?
have talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they asked us, we were invited up, and who was there? Milton Glaser, Seymour Quast, Paula Scherer, like if you know, I was like the youngest. So should I order? Yeah, iPad and Procreate. Yes, Denise, you'll love it. But anyway, but don't blame me. So then they wanted us to try out this brand new thing, art that you could make on the computer, and it was called Photoshop. So we each had a monitor, and every two people had one assistant, technical
Oh,
assistant,
wow.
to help them.
I don't remember that part.
And
That's
when
cool.
I learned Bucket, I'm like, this is like silkscreen in a second. What?
Yeah.
I go boom, and it fills it with even flat color. It was a dream. So,
Hmm.
whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's about your point of view. So don't worry about that. Okay, let's see. Um, Jacqueline, hi Jacqueline Gutierrez says I started using pencil, ink, and watercolors, then bring the art into pro.
Mm-hmm.
Procreate and Photoshop, and that's what I did as an illustrator later. I would do my brush lettering or drawing or whatever, bring it in, and then I couldn't believe you could actually move stuff.
Yeah.
After, and that's the thing with Procreate. Undo,
Mm-hmm.
redo layers. It's so freeing. And that's why you say I'm doing so much art now, because it's so, it
Every
takes,
day you're posting something new, a fully finished, beautiful work of art.
and I have like loads more I didn't even
Oh
put,
my
but
gosh.
okay, I'll keep doing
That's
it.
amazing.
Um, Also, I'm at a different stage in life. I have more time.
Mm.
Susie says both watercolor, Procreate, Adobe Illustrator. Um, Taylor says, I used to feel like that until I tried it. It takes a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Patricia, I think digital requires more of a critical eye when you're working because the options are endless. With traditional, whatever happens, happens. Happy accidents and all. I mean, I just love traditional media, like the
Mm-hmm.
blobs and the smushes and the paper, but I hate that you can't work in layers, you can't undo.
Right.
So, but
I
I do
have
like it.
experimented with working in layers. Like if you do a watercolor base and
Yeah.
then on a new piece of paper you use a light box and you do
Oh,
pencil
light
outline or
box.
something
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then you layer it later in Photoshop.
Mm,
I didn't really like working that way. It felt really time consuming for me,
yeah, yeah,
but it is something you could explore.
that's
But
for
drawing
sure.
on top of scanning in your traditional work and drawing on top of it is
Mm,
so fun. I love that
mhm.
part of the process.
Okay, so that's that. Why don't you talk about large ticket item?
Sure. Yeah.
Take it away.
So we were chatting about the wedding stationery stuff
Mhm.
that I've been doing. And the big reason I started offering wedding stationery commissions is because I had had a shop where I was selling greeting cards for $5 and
Mhm.
prints for $20. And
That you would make
yeah, I
or
was making
by
these.
hand
I would get them printed.
get them printed.
Yeah. So I was working mostly digitally at that time. So most of them were prints that were digital.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a few made from when I was working in traditional media. So a mix. But anyways, there was cards
Okay.
and prints and some sticker sheets, stuff like that.
Oh,
And
cool.
every time I got a sale, I was so excited. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I made $3. Right.
Somebody likes my art.
So it was exciting to get those sales. And
Mm-hmm.
at first it felt like it was successful because it was mostly my friends and family supporting me.
Mm.
A friend would be like, "Oh, I need a birthday card. Can I get
Right.
one from you?" And that was great. But
Mm-hmm.
then at some point I was even selling wholesale. I was selling to shops, so they would have some
Wow.
larger orders. So they would minimum order was $100. So
Wow.
yeah, it was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
But
But it was still like you work so hard to get
mm-hmm.
$100 sale, which is fabulous, but there's no guarantee that you're going to get another sale from them in a
And
couple
what's your net
months.
profit on $100?
Probably like, well, if I was charging them 100, then maybe 70-ish.
Because you have to pay for printing, paper, your
Mm-hmm.
time, and well, not even counting your time.
Yeah, because the outreach was really what took so long.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Meaning,
emailing,
mm-hmm.
going on Instagram and Google, finding local shops,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to them, just contacting people in general, following people on social media and liking their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And when a sale would come through again, it was really exciting. Wow, they like my stuff. They ordered 50 cards to stock their shop. Really
Wow,
fun.
that is fun.
Yeah. And I went to some of those shops that were local and like got pictures of my cards at the store, and
Oh,
it was great.
fun. But what happened?
But it's still just a lot of work. And when I was getting picture books, I was realizing, oh, I'm getting a larger chunk. And then a couple months later, when I finish the next step, I'm getting a large chunk again,
Mm-hmm.
and then again.
Potentially royalties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to have income that I knew was coming in
Mm-hmm.
and a project that was over a longer period of time. So I was thinking about what else, what's my skill set? What else can I offer? And I
Mm-hmm.
landed on wedding stationery commissions.
Yeah.
And so that's also a higher ticket item. So I
Mm-hmm.
stopped doing the shop to focus on wedding stationery.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be having my second client, which is
Great.
exciting. And I did mine too. So I've done 3 sets of
Oh,
these.
wow.
So that feels good. I feel like it's a good base to get started with.
Have you ever seen my wedding? Yeah.
Yeah,
In the
I
kitchen.
love
Yeah.
them.
Sorry.
Um, no, it's all good. But yeah, I think I just was trying to think about what works for me
Mhm,
and who my audience is and
mhm,
what I want to be doing. I don't want to be spending so much time on outreach.
mhm.
So I'd rather use all of that time to chase a larger, like big ticket item.
Yeah. Let me ask the people, how are you making money from your work if you are? Or, yeah, how are you making any income from your work if you can type it in the chat?
And I really loved starting with a shop. Like whenever I was
Mhm.
just starting out,
Could be a good place to start for people.
yeah, definitely. Because printing cards is pretty low cost. It's not
Mhm,
a risky investment. And if some of the cards don't sell, like I still have some cards that didn't sell,
mhm,
and I can use them at some point.
mm.
Or like I did a $1 card sale this past Black Friday because everyone does sales,
Wow.
and I got rid of so many, almost all of the cards that I had left.
Katie, did you do Etsy or Razzle or something else?
I had my shop on Squarespace, so I had my own platform on there on my website, which I really enjoyed using
Oh,
because it's not as saturated
mm,
as Etsy.
mm,
But Etsy really works for some people.
yeah. Oh, here we go. Susie says, I sell paintings, greeting cards, stickers on Redbubble, fabric on Spoonflower. Diana says commission projects when I get it and POD.
Print on demand.
Oh,
So
yeah.
also like Redbubble or Spoonflower, something like
Mm-hmm.
that probably.
Jacqueline, royalties through licensing. Great. Eileen, my work involves the need to edit art and design on the fly, so ease of editing is really, really important to me, and ease of file organization and searching
Hmm.
through content. I don't know if I under Eileen, can you explain that? Not sure.
But it sounds like people do a lot of different things. Commissions,
Hmm.
print on demand,
Yeah,
all of those are great.
yeah. I mean, the
So
reason, yeah, go
I
on.
should say I think it depends on, what you like doing.
Hmm.
I didn't like I didn't want to work markets or sell cards or prints at markets because I want to spend my weekend
Hmm.
with
Oh,
friends and family.
like craft markets and
Yeah,
art fairs.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel like that was a big part of having a shop. I didn't
Hmm.
want to do that. I wanted something that was going to be over a longer period of time.
Hmm.
And my audience is other artists who aren't often buying art.
My friend Mimi Kirschner does these really cool dolls, and she uses like I forget the kind of fabric. Anyway, they look like a tattoo men with tattoos. And she sells a lot to the gay community and has, I mean, she's been doing this for a long time and they're fantastic. And they're expensive. And she does craft fairs and she does very well. They're beautiful and she embroiders the face and they have wit and style and some are like burly with beards and they're very beautiful. And they're pricey as they should be. So if you do a craft, if you can do one that's at a high price point, obviously that, and you're like, well, fewer people will buy it. Yeah, but you don't need as many people. Like
Hmm.
you would need how many people buying the cards. And honestly, if I go into a store, I might buy a card, and at the same time, I might be like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Like I might buy a piece of art or something, or a piece of handmade jewelry,
Hmm.
and I love both. One might cost obviously a whole lot more of the jewelry. So if you can do a higher price point now,
Like Jen Gubitsa with her faux taxidermy animals. They're so good.
yeah.
Um, her website is Zugu if anyone wants to look it up. Zoogu. And she does these. I don't see her that she's here, but
No, Z O G
Oogu.
U.
Yeah, she does these faux taxidermy animals, and I feel like describe that's how she describes it. But until you see it, you won't like you just need to see it. So
It
everyone
looks
go to her
like
website.
we did that with Crate and Barrel.
Yeah.
The you see the like the unicorny kind of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, it's like an animal, but it's a stuffed animal that you put on the wall. Like yeah, brilliant
They're great.
and so cool. And those are pricey,
They are, but
which they
it's a
just
big time investment.
yeah, which she totally we don't yeah like
But she's also got it down to a science where she has someone who helps her cut out the different pieces and then she does the sewing.
and she designs them. That's so
Mm-hmm.
smart.
So talking about that connected to something we were saying before. Maybe that was before.
Leveraging. Yeah.
Leveraging. Yeah.
Yep. When you, and that's, so she pays someone an amount of money, but she makes more, she can make more product, so she'll make more money. And you do want to think about what can you leverage. The other thing is you want to make your product the best it can be.
Mm.
Well, I don't know how good I am. You push yourself, you look around, you see what's out there, you analyze why the other pieces are good. Then you think, how can you make yours better? You do more sketches, you do more drawings, you take courses. My courses, I hope, but take anybody's courses.
Definitely your courses.
Definitely my
They're so
courses.
good.
They're the best. I
They
mean, they're
are.
really great. They're the best. Anyway, make art that sells. And the reason why I did make art that sells is A, I love teaching, but also I wanted artists to make art that sells, that will get them work and money. And I knew the markets as an illustrator and then as an agent. I was an agent by then. I think I'd been an agent 10 years or something, whatever. So that's why I do that. But poke around, see what people do. Children's books is great, very lucrative, but you need to know how to pitch to them. So you do have to take a course. Again, ideally mine, but anybody's course on how to illustrate for picture books.
I've
Because,
taken your picture book course and I'm illustrating my fifth book. And that was the
oh,
first picture book course I
mhm.
ever took.
And
So,
it
yeah,
is great. And I teach with Zoe, who's an art director. She's great. I love her. She's amazing. We're in the middle of it right now. No, we're not. Oh, we're doing character
we're,
boot camp right now.
yeah.
Oh yeah, illustrating children's books, July 7th. See, I have this
Mm-hmm.
because I never know. Oh, I also have big news.
What?
You know, I say this every time, but I'm always, I think I've said this 1,000 times, like, I'm dropping a new, what do I call it?
Spilling the
Spilling beans.
beans.
I think you already know. I'm definitely doing another inner circle
Yay!
this September
Amazing.
because I love it so much. I am helping, we just wrapped up it's 6 weeks,
Hmm.
twice a week, 12 people. I spend
That's
two
so nice.
hours
Such a small group.
and I go with each person one at a time and I look at what they're working on. I give them assignments each week. Each time we meet, they develop and then it's due Thursday and then we repeat Monday and blah, blah, blah. It's really great. So I'm super, super excited. And if you want to get in on that, that will sell out. It's just 12 people. Oh, Kate is here and she's taking it. And, and I just love the people. I really care. I really care about the people. Anyway, make sure you get on makeartthatsells.com, the website, the newsletter, get on the waiting list because we're only going to announce it first to people on the waiting list.
Mhm.
And then if there's still room, we'll announce it publicly. But those are the first people that will know.
Because how many spots? Would you say
Just 12.
12?
It's 12. It's really a great amount. Everybody said they just got so motivated and did so much work and grew. Yeah, it's really, I love it. So that's another. I'll probably not remember that I announced to here, and then I'll announce it like to Inner Circle, and then Character Boot Camp, and then Illustration. I'll just keep announcing, but bear with me, whatever. I should probably write it down.
We're here for all the
You
announcements.
know, maybe I won't say big announcement.
No, it's always fun because then everyone likes to type in the chat, spill the beans.
Mhm.
So you got to keep doing it.
Okay.
We do
What?
have a question in the chat that I have an answer to, a really
Okay.
quick answer.
Oh, good. We have
So
baby.
Leanna said, how do I know how much to charge for stuff? So that is definitely tricky. I think it's very
Mhm.
personal, but a really, really helpful resource is the Graphic Artist Guild handbook.
Mhm.
So I think there's an ebook version or a physical
Mhm.
copy, but it's like this thick. And it's just full of pages and pages of if you're going to do a picture book, what's the
Mhm.
typical range for a picture book? If you're going to do some sort of editorial illustration or a comic. What do
Mhm.
those charge instead? Stationery, all of this is
They
in
take
there.
polls,
Hmm.
surveys of people and artists, illustrators, and the survey, it's a survey, yeah.
And I know they publish new editions. The most recent one
Mhm.
is from, I think, 2021. So I don't know how often they come out with new ones, but maybe a
Oh,
new one soon?
oh,
Maybe every
it
five
used to be every
years?
two.
I could be
Mm,
wrong on my information with that.
okay,
But Graphic Artist Guild Handbook, I would definitely check that out,
yeah.
Leanna. And it gives you confidence because you can quote it and be like, this is industry standard pricing.
Hmm. I used it in the
Mm,
old days. It's been around a long time. The other thing, and then if you're going to sell something on Etsy or at a craft fair, go do your
mm.
research and look and see what other people are charging. Um, so, and rather than try to, and you don't want to undercharge people because it lowers the value for the home market. So rather than charge less, make your work even better so you can charge more. If it's a craft, use better materials or make and or design your characters or your objects or your jewelry the very best you can. Just amp up, push yourself further. Your talent is infinite. It's like a muscle. The more like I'm not good at tennis. Why? I haven't played in like maybe I played when I was 10 really badly. So for me to think I'd be good at tennis today because I want to be, no. I would take lessons. I would develop. I would practice all the time. And then I would get better and better. Will I ever be in the Olympics for tennis? No, I will not. But if I were, maybe 30 years younger and took the lessons, did everything because it has physical limitations. I do play pickleball now and then.
Hey, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you do get better the more you do. We understand that in sports, right? We know how much Olympic athletes practice and you get better by virtue of practice and working and having a trainer or a teacher or a course or a class. You develop. If you find that you're doing a lot of art, but it's the same stuff and you're not getting better, what does that mean you need? Type in the chat. We've all seen that with ourselves, like we're just sort of flatlining.
So say the question again.
The
If
question is if you find that you're flatlining, you're just going along and your work is not improving, what does
what do
it
you
mean you
need?
need? And you are practicing, Jan. You're just doing it more and more, but it's not getting better. You're doing a lot of art. What do you need? A class could be quite inspiring. Thank you, Jacqueline. My classes or anybody's classes, just take classes or start a group. Get
Hmm.
I used to there were times I'd have a model in here. We'd do figure drawing. It's before there was a lot less furniture here. Um, change the medium. Yeah.
I
And
was gonna say the same as Susie, change the medium.
mhm.
So since we talked about traditional and digital before, I actually wrote a whole Substack article about this when I did the same piece in traditional and digital,
Oh,
and then was
wow.
looking at what did I like between both of them,
Yeah.
and it was really eye-opening for me.
What
So
did you learn?
that I learned that I was very messy with traditional. I still had a lot to learn. This was a
Mm,
couple years ago, but I really liked some of the things in digital, like the clean lines. So I was
yeah.
thinking about how can I get more clean lines in my traditional work.
Mhm.
But now I'm like shifting again and I'm leaning into the messy. So style's
Mhm.
always changing, but I do
Yeah, I
remember
love
being
mess.
able to compare side by side,
Oh,
and that got me
oh,
out of the rut.
yeah, that's great. Um, get out of your comfort zone. Yes, yes. A maths class, sketch every day and change up your tools. Totally great.
Hmm.
Bet buy the best art supplies you can and Procreate. Fortunately, you never have to spend a nickel on. Well, you can buy those all different
Yeah, but it's
brushes.
a one-time
I
fee.
have, yeah, and I did buy what's her name's brushes? You know who I mean.
Bardot brush?
Bardot brushes. I didn't really I feel like there's enough in Procreate.
There are a lot in Procreate.
Yeah, but maybe over time
Hmm.
you crave different ones, I suppose.
I use Fresco, which is the Adobe version of Procreate.
Oh,
Um,
I should try
and
that.
I just use the all of the brushes that are preloaded in there. Because most
Mhm.
brushes that people sell are for Procreate, so I do often feel left out. I'm like, no, I want to try that brush,
Oh,
but it's not compatible.
oh, oh boy, do I want to learn a new. Oh
I
well.
think they're similar enough. It just Fresco, I tried learning Fresco 3 different times and I kept giving up because I was just too annoyed with it.
Oh,
But eventually I was like, okay, I need to do it because I'm
hmm,
doing other work in Photoshop. I use InDesign. I use a lot of the Adobe products.
yeah,
So I eventually forced myself to use or learn Fresco.
yeah.
And now I'm very happy with it. But I
Okay.
think if Procreate works for people, like there's
And
no
wait,
reason.
did you try Procreate? Did you say?
Yeah, I was using Procreate before.
And
And
you didn't like it?
the biggest thing for me was the layers. So I kept running out of layers. But I think now,
Oh,
because
you have
I'm,
a lot of layers.
yeah, they've updated the software
Hmm.
and iPads have more storage. So the more
Oh,
storage you have, the
right,
more layers
right.
you have.
That's true.
But I had an old iPad and I didn't have a lot of layers. And I just kept getting really frustrated that I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't use layers because I
I,
was also like drawing an eye on one layer and like the face on the other layer and the hair on another. And it was just like too separated.
yeah, that's too
I
much.
agree. So I think now I could maybe do Procreate.
Yeah. And also, you can just cut it out of the piece and put, like I just moved a bunch of letters that were all on glued down and I cut them out. I have a question. So, when you draw a line and if you hold it down, it smooths it.
Hmm.
But I'm working on a piece where the letter, I start with a W and it's like an S curve, but it straightens it, but I want it to stay S curve.
Hmm.
How do you do that? Does anyone know?
Yeah, maybe someone who uses Procreate
Uh,
more often can answer that.
does you have that
So,
ability to get it smoothed out?
just straight lines and circles, but
Okay.
like if I do a W, I think it will change it to a curve or a line.
Yeah,
It
to
won't
one
keep
thing, won't
that.
do the S.
Yeah.
Not that, and in my style, I don't want it perfect,
Hmm.
but I wanted to try it.
You can also change the smoothing or the
Mm,
what's it called? I think it's the smoothing
smoothing,
on a
yeah.
brush. And so you can like up it all the way so it's really, really smooth when you
Oh,
draw.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe you could do that.
yeah. And it's like, oh, now I know my students, that's how they're getting all these perfect shapes. Oh.
So that's just something about digital art that like I kept making everything so perfect. And then
Mm,
when I was at the Bologna Children's Book Fair, I was walking through one of the exhibits and I
mhm,
stood in front of this one piece and I was just looking at it for so long because there was not a straight line anywhere, but it was the
right,
interior of a house.
yeah.
And even like the baseboard was
Mm,
like diagonal and there was like a paint mark that was up onto the wall,
mm,
but it wasn't supposed to look like the floor and the wall were like mushing together. Like you could still clearly tell that they're separate, but it was messy.
mhm,
And then the line of the ceiling was like almost scribbly,
mhm.
but it didn't look messy when you looked at it. Not
Well,
until you really studied
so,
it.
mine is more in that realm.
Hmm.
And for me, it's about when I make a mark, if there's a presence to it rather than thoughtless,
Mm.
somehow that thoughtful line with my presence communicates something that I like. And I can tell when it's just sort of like whatever. So that's what works for me.
Mm.
Okay, baby and career. Want to talk about that?
Sure. So I'm in the stage of my life where my husband and I are thinking about having kids, but obviously it brings up a lot of questions about I'm trying to live this entrepreneurial life right now, and I'm working in the morning, I'm working in the
And you just
evenings.
started 2 years ago, right? Or no?
So that's when I left my teaching job was 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have things coming in. I've had books, I have the wedding
Yeah.
stationery stuff. I used to sell stuff in shops and then stopped
Mm-hmm.
that, as I mentioned. So, like, I have things going,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still not on autopilot. So, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I worry. what will I have to give up? Do I have to give up anything? What can I do now to prepare and set myself up for success?
Mhm.
And I think that this is something that a lot of, speaking of women, earlier today, I think this is something that a lot of women wonder, and have to talk about if they're in a creative career.
How many people here have kids? If you want to type in, if you have kids and or how many. So I have two kids. They're now 29 and 31, but I had them when I was in the middle of my work as an illustrator. And for me, so I had Jacob when I was 39 and Natasha when I was 41. So that was old in the baby department, but I liked it because my career was so established. I was just getting in jobs and I
Mhm.
didn't need the same amount of emotional and physical energy to build the business. The business was built, my illustration career. And then when I had my first Jacob, that's when I became an agent. I just was possessed. So, um, and I loved that for 30 years. But I, I think you, what I liked is having a built up business that was really there because when I had my babies, there was no way I could hustle in the same way or give it the same amount of time. But I got some, I mean, that's in some ways, well, my career just continued to take off even then. So I like the idea of building it up
Mhm.
because, and also I worked from home the whole time.
Yeah.
There was FedEx and fax. That's how I did it.
I think that's where I am. I'm in the like setting up and building systems
Mhm.
phase right now. I think that's
Right.
also why I'm thinking about these big ticket items
Yeah.
because I want something that's going to carry through for a long period of time and then lead to more projects like that rather
Right.
than because I'm only from here on out, I'm only going to have less time,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So planning ahead for that, I think
Mm-hmm.
is going to be really important.
Yeah, for sure. It is what makes the most money, but is also the most rewarding.
Hmm.
But honestly, I don't think there's a market that's not rewarding. I think they're all great.
Hmm.
So I'd like to get paid the very best. Why not?
Hmm.
The only thing I do that is a poor financial return, where this is my volunteering once a week from 10 to 12 in the kindergarten classroom as the sort of art teacher, but I use that loosely because I don't teach. I sit and do art with the kids. And that is not a money maker, but it's a joyful, joyful experience with these free creative people who are like nuts and crazy. And I had one say, she doesn't talk much. She came over, Lila, can I give you something? First time she ever talked to me. Of course you can, Nadia. It's pointy though, be careful. Okay. And it was this flower on a piece of metal.
Oh,
And the metal, it's like this little tiny bendy metal, like a twist
yeah.
tie as pointy. The end.
That is
So I
so sweet. I love that she like that's so your style. I love that she's able to pick that out.
so sweet. So I put it on here.
Aww,
That the preciousest thing you
it
ever heard of.
is.
I
And
love them.
I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
maybe a month or so ago, Lila and I went to the local art shop, which is
Oh,
amazing.
playtime.
And you bought some fun little supplies
Oh
for
yeah.
the shop. So tell everyone about the shop because
Did I
it's
show you?
fabulous. I don't think we've talked about
Did
the
I
shop
show
on
you
here.
this?
I never saw it completed.
This is
Oh,
the
it's
shop.
amazing.
And so every kid gets to come when they sit down at my table, they get to take three things from the shop
Look at all those treasures.
and like, I can't see.
I can
Um,
hold it if you want to hold anything
oh,
up
okay.
close.
So there's like ribbons. This is very popular. It's a pop, it sells out at the shop. These I replace inventory. Lots of gems. The gems are very big.
And how many do they get each time?
Three things.
It's a big
And it
choice.
it does seem to satisfy them. These are a big hit. I've had to add more inventory. And then after they pick their three things, I go, that's $1 million, please. It just came out of my mouth. I don't know. And then at first they were like, what? And then they
And
swap
now they
that.
know.
And sometimes they go that it's 2 million, 5 billion, 100, $3 million.
I'll take it.
I'm like, oh my God, that's great. I'm gonna buy art supplies for every child in the world. That's what I'm saying.
Aw,
It's just the
yeah,
most, they're
it
just so
is. They're
cute.
so sweet and they're so free at that age with art. I love that you just give them the space to create.
Yeah, and great markers.
Mm.
And they just, we hang out. I have my coffee. See, that's where I do it. I have my coffee. I did the logo for them years ago. That's what I do. It's not lucrative
But it
financially.
it fills the heart,
Fills
so
the heart.
that's
So,
important.
you decide what you want to do
Mm-hmm.
and where you want to make the money. I think that takes care of it for today, do you? We'll
I
leave
think
on that
so.
beautiful note.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice ending.
That's a nice ending.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. We really appreciated it. Thanks for visiting us. And I hope I see you in my classes. And if you know anybody needing a wedding invitation, go to
Katie
Katie
Stack
Stack
illustrates.
Illustrates. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
See you next time.
Yeah. Bye.